The stream is live. Welcome. This is Stramash Media. We are on air now to talk about Scottish football, Scottish rugby, everything Scottish, by the way, with Chris Linnett. And Glenn Reid makes a welcome addition to the team this week. Welcome, Glenn.
Oh, hi guys! It's nice to finally get on air. I would say I'm feeling better, but I'm full of the cold. But I'm better than I was, so I'm looking forward to this.
Hi. Oh well, I'm tickety boo. I've just started climbing my Munros again around my wee area here, and I feel brilliant for it. So, sporting all over the place. The big story, Glenn, was Scottish rugby, and this is the SRU getting pulled up because they have been mistreating the women who have taken Scotland really far in this World Cup, the Women's World Cup. We got horsed 40 points to 8 by England, and I was doing a wee check on England's rugby team and the amount of players and the amount of coaching staff and the amount of money that goes into these red roses compared to Scotland, and it's pitiful what's happening in Scottish rugby. A lot of these girls are retiring because they can't be bothered with it. It's just they've done as much as they can in a Scotland jersey, but the SRU are hindering them. What do you make of the story?
Yeah, it's once again, it doesn't really reflect very well on the SRU. We spoke about this before. Whether it's a women's game or the men's game, there's always like question marks over their handling of it. Remember, they're supposed to be custodians of it. But before we get into it, I think really we shouldn't allow this to distract from the fact that really, even though they had 2 defeats to like Canada and England are tournament favourites. Canada are the second best team in the world. The Scotland team have come on leaps and bounds. This is, I think, their best performance at a Women's Rugby World Cup since 2002. So that should be the story. But the SRU, because they haven't cleared up the contract situation, because of their mishandling of the players and the manager as well, who has taken them in the last 5 years to new heights, they've allowed this to become the story, and that really is poor show. The women should be celebrated for what they've done.
Well, Chris, it's the transparency on this. The media, we don't know. The supporters, many players don't know what's happening here. What are the SRU hiding? What have they not done? We don't know. We've just got to make assumptions in this.
Well, I mean, any sort of endeavour, the minute you let people run wild with assumptions, because that's if you don't give them even a plausible line, then people are going to start speculating, rightly so. So they've got to close this down. But yeah, exactly. I would agree with Glenn. This has become the sideshow for a fairly decent performance, and just it's all about progress. But apparently, we're talking about a manager that's been left to leave and speculate on it.
Well, Brian Easton, the head coach, who was instrumental in bringing this team, he's been there 5 years. He's brought this team as high as he can get, and he's been rewarded with a sack. It's because he's been a bit outspoken, Glenn, and who wouldn't be? He's losing his best players, because they're not getting contracts, they're not getting paid, they're not getting any help. And Scottish Rugby performance director, never heard of this guy, David Nusifora, has said that Brian and I had a very straightforward conversation, a positive conversation. It was constructive. As we mapped out what was going to be happening in women's rugby, we agreed that this was a good opportunity, the right time for him to leave.
Yeah. It's fairly shocking. I mean, what's positive there? I mean, obviously positive from his background. He knows what they're actually doing, but everybody else has got no idea what's going on. I mean, you've got rumours abound in the rugby circle just now, like within international rugby, that there are only 15 players getting proper contracts. Okay, but I think the chief executive Alec Williamson came out and he said that we're going to invest more than we've ever invested, have a more professional players than we've ever had, but we're in a transitional moment. He says that. So the way he says that we're more professional players, what's he actually alluding to there about the players that are currently wearing the jersey? That's a terrible statement to come out with. These players went into this World Cup with a huge question mark over their careers. And it's a very physical game. Some of them could pick up injuries, etc. It could, it could be the end of their careers or whatever, and they're playing without a contract. And that's a terrible situation. He then went on to say that probably more than 35 players But that's not what the Scotland squad are hearing. That's not what people in the international team are hearing either. This is fairly poor, and it could have been cleared up just before the tournament, well before the tournament, if they'd handle it correctly. You know the manager's going. Who's the new manager coming in? Why is he going? Because he's actually, as I say, he's taking them to new heights, etc. Why are the players not getting contracts? Who will be getting contracts? It's not hard, but they just mismanage this. The SRU do this all the time. They are, for custodians of the national game, they are really poor at it.
Well, do you know this, Chris? I've got to read this out to you. The SRU and its current issues are primarily financial, with the organisation facing significant losses and implementing a financial reset programme involving job cuts to address the deficit. So what have they been doing with the money that's been coming in to the SRU when these big games are on in the autumn in the Six Nations? How come Scotland are now facing significant losses? What have they been doing in this with the cash that they've supposed to have? And a second question, Chris. A lot of the lassies are leaving a legacy, but are trying to leave a legacy for youngsters to follow them. They're never going to get it, not with this chaos within the SRU.
Well, Glenn alluded to, I mean, it's a far more physical sport than football, and you're far more likely to get injuries. And we could sit here and say it's great, or you should just be playing for the honour of your country. But if it's your 20th cap or whatever, you've done that, and the allure has to be that you can play and you can support yourself and your family. And if they've not got the contracts there, then you're really getting in there. You're just hoping.
But the point is, Chris, they're in such a financial mess that I've uncovered this, how much they're in debt. They're facing significant losses, and they've implemented a financial reset program. That means you get accountants coming in, having a look at the balance of the books and figuring it all out to make it work. Now, what are these? Who's supposed to be in the SRU? You're supposed to be talented people that can understand money, can understand finance, can understand rugby. They're not there.
There's got to be just, even I guess, there's got to be a few accountants in there. But the minute you hear, words like forensic accountancy and all that, you're thinking, what's going to be going on here? Is this going to be winding up or reset? But I mean, that's quite a strong word.
That's what happens. Glenn, getting back to these contracts, we're discussing off air. Contracts are given by the clubs, but they've also got to be given by the national team because, as you alluded to, there's injuries and there's insurance to be paid out if people lose matches or they get a serious injury and they're out of the game. So who pays that? If it's in a Scotland game or if it's in a club game. If it's a Scotland game, then the club will be looking for compensation. If it's Finn Russell, for example, gets injured at Bath, the Scotland national team rely on him. They'll be looking for some kind of compensation on the contracts to fill in a void. It's very complex, but the bottom line is contracts are supposed to be there for the benefit of the players. So that if anything happens, they're covered. It doesn't seem to be. They haven't got the money to pay for the contracts, Glenn.
Yeah, it looks to me that they're allowing experienced players to go. Obviously, they cost a lot more. They're saying, I mean, part of the message that he said was like, "Oh no, we some of the players that are playing in England." We're not offering them club contracts. That's down to them to find new contracts with their clubs. He's essentially saying, because we run a couple of clubs up here that are professional. They could easily give them club contracts, but they don't want to pay the wages that they're on just now, and they don't even want to give them a fallback position because these are key players for Scotland, and they're not being given the fallback position of like, if you can't secure one, you can come back to Glasgow Warriors. The female version, I can't remember the name, Glasgow. But anyway, you can come back there, and you'll have a contract, etc. They're leaving them on their own, and they're just saying, well, you'll get a national contract. The national contract obviously just covers you for the international games. They're few and far between over the course of a year. Does not pay your salary, a salary that you can live on. So why would you, if you're looking for a club, why would you put your career at risk playing for your country when you actually you haven't got a club and which pays your wages. It's just, they could have cleared this up so much better. I think it was Jade Conkle, she's not been offered a new deal. I think she's announced her international retirement. And she actually said, and this is quite scathing of the SRU, she said that the team made it to the last 8 of the World Cup through no help of the SRU.
Yeah. But following those comments, after that 48 defeat to England, other players were quick to support that sentiment, those words. There's some here. It's definitely a fair comment. Former captain Lisa Martin said they used the emotion to say, this is what we're about, this is the level we can play at, and force that respect upon themselves. It's been so frustrating that most of this World Cup has been centred around all the things that have been happening behind the scenes, especially when Scotland have performed so strongly. Chris, that's strong words from ex-players who have been through this themselves. And these conversations really need to start happening now. And we really must have a root and branch look at who runs Scottish rugby.
Well, I mean, I think that they are coming right now. You can tell with the amount of comments that are coming out, and people are very, people move on to the next thing very quick. So I think they should come out en masse, because the SRU, they're past masters at this. They'll quickly have some sort of talking heads ready to throw up some, look over here, don't look over there. So a united front with essentially their demands, really, I think that they have to get that on the table really, really quickly. Just some very, very, just concise demands, and go, right, this is, as players, as a body, this is the minimum requirements we want from essentially from the managing body that we play the rugby for. I mean, that's what I would try and do, get in there straight away, because they'll get distracted, and these guys are great at doing that. So I would get together and get your demands in.
It's some good points in there, Chris. I would just add to that what other people are saying as well. There's got to be, Glenn, a long-term plan for Scottish women's rugby and Scottish rugby in general. Don't forget, we've lost our sevens team. We've only got 2 pro teams. We don't even have any pro. The 2 pro teams that are involved with the women's team are associated with Glasgow and Edinburgh. Why haven't we got more? Couldn't you make a new team make money and bring it back into the coffers? That's what a good accountant would do. That's what a good marketing guy could do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the women's game is thriving. It's really growing at a really fast rate. More and more young lads are getting involved in the game, looking for clubs. Clubs are expanding, etc. So you would think, from the outside looking in, that there's a great opportunity here. I mean, it should grow, and the money should be attracted to it. You are seeing more TV coverage on the basis of this World Cup as well, and the performance that Scotland have put on. Yeah, it should be an excellent opportunity for them to bring in funding and sponsors, etc. And there needs to be parity with the men's game to work towards that. I mean, the squad needs to be bigger. The contracts need to be more, more financially secure, etc. Yes. But all we get from the SRU just now, despite them saying we're investing more, etc., than we've ever invested before, there's no figures. There's no plan. There's no manager appointed. There's no who will take the reins over. How can a team come to the end of the World Cup and we have no idea who will be taking the team forward? That's the basic. Regardless of the women's contracts, which is bad enough, to actually have the team come to the end of the tournament and have to start planning after this, and there's nobody in place. Now, if you have a plan and you have this vision, why is that not happening? What's happening? Everybody who's a fan of the game, the ordinary punters who, they read the papers, watch the games, go to the games as well. Nobody has a clue what's going on, because the SRU keep all the information to themselves. You'd almost think they actually don't have a plan, and they're actually just treating it as a second fiddle to the men's game.
Well, can I tell you this? A lot of boys, a lot of men go to see the women's rugby. It's a different sport. It's quicker, it's less adversarial in some aspects, although some of the other teams are copying the men, and that's how they're taking on this new agenda with women's rugby. But if you look at Spain and Scotland, they're still playing this expansive running game. It's good to watch. It's a good product. Brian Easton, I don't know what's going on there, honestly. But we'll have to leave it there. But we'll keep our tabs on it and discuss this if any other news comes on it. The other thing that happened last week when you were away, Glenn, me and Chris covered this, was Scotland were in World Cup qualifiers. We went to Denmark and we went to Belarus. The thing I'm going to pick up now on is the Belarus game. Why was it behind closed doors? Now, this gets us into a political regime here, but when we're looking at mass slaughter in Gaza, why are Israel still allowed to play in front of a crowd in the European scene, but Belarus, because they supported Russia against Ukraine, aren't? It just, and guess who's losing out? And we'll get to this later on about where Scotland stands in European football. What did you make of that behind closed doors?
Well, first of all, we treat them as isolated matches, etc., or isolated countries. So Belarus, totally understand why the game is behind closed doors. I don't understand the fact that so Belarus were being punished for their involvement in supporting Russia in the Ukrainian. Well, it's not a war, it's not a conflict, it's an invasion. But anyway, why are Scotland punished as well? The Scotland fans, the away section should be opened. That's proper punishment, you know. Yep. So it's a home match, no home fans, but you know, but the away fans get in, and because I mean, it brought me back to COVID matches. You know, it just sounded like a bounce game kind of thing. It's a horrible atmosphere, but thankfully, you know, we got the result that we needed. As for Israel's involvement, we've had many chats about these kind of issues before, and one, why are Israel in UEFA? First and foremost, you know. Two, what's going on? What's going on? I mean, the annihilation, the genocide, etc. Yeah, they should be treated exactly the same. It's an abomination, in my opinion.
Where does it leave us with UEFA? And who makes the decisions on all this?
Well, it's obviously the heads of the football associations who they've elected to UEFA. I mean, it's a closed shop. It's like FIFA. Some of the decisions that come out of there are awful as well. And as far as I can recall, you're not allowed to put politics into an FA. So, e.g., if anybody had a gripe with the SFA or whatever, and we all have them from time to time, you're not allowed. The government aren't allowed to interfere with the FA. Otherwise, the national FA are not allowed to partake in FIFA competitions or UEFA competitions. It is an entirely closed shop, and a lot of the time, there's a lot of questions and there's no answers.
Yeah. On that, myself and Chris, you got it right. You got predictions right. You said a draw and a win would do Scotland. You got it bang on.
Well, I said not one each, right enough, but I got that. It was suppose start strong.
Well, on that, I've asked Chris before, but Glenn, what do you think of Scotland's chances then? World Cup qualification.
You know, before those two games, I was not optimistic, and then Scotland do what they always do to me. They give you hope. You know, and you thought, well, we could do that then, because after that game, Denmark went. We got a draw with Denmark. We actually defended really quite well. Grant Hanley exceeded my expectations, etc. I'm normally quite hard on him, so give him the credit where credit's due. He played really well. So you get that draw away. It's a vital point. You think you've forced one of your main rivals to drop points. And that's that old adage: win your home games, draw away, you should qualify. So then Denmark go and they absolutely thump Greece. I think it was 3-0 in the end. Yeah. But the shots on target, I mean, it was complete domination by Denmark. I'm glad we caught them on a different kind of night. Højlund scored as well. He's back on form now that he's at Napoli as well. So that's all completely different. So we've now got Greece. They come to Hampden. Then I think Belarus come. So it's make or break. And we've been there before. We've seen some terrible results when our optimism's up. I'm actually. They've got a wee wonder kid who's 17, etc., and he could cause a lot of damage. He did when we played him, last year, and he did a lot of damage. But if we can play to our strengths, if he selects the right team, we've actually got a chance. We've got a decent chance. I remember taking Robert, my eldest, when he was 7 to go and watch Scotland-Denmark in the peeing rain at Hampden thing. We walked away with a 2-0 win. And we've beat them again in another qualification time when in the final match. So Denmark are actually, they are beatable, and so are Greece. So we've got a chance, but we have to play well.
Chris, we're all struggling here with Steve Clarke because he had a chance to put Kieran Bowie on. He had a chance to put other players on, but he went with the regulars, the old faithfuls. And we thought, what the hell is the point in that? Blood new people. But he never did it. And that's what worries me. Where are we going to get the goals?
Well, I mean, I keep saying it. We rely too much on McTominay, but you can get him through him, McGinn, Doak as well. So there's people there, but we mentioned it last week. We'll just get more of the same unless he gambles, and I believe we've got the team that he should be. He should be gambling in. We've got the first 2 results, and that is absolutely great. As far as Greece goes, that wee guy, the wee wonder kid, but he's no some unknown wonder kid anymore. He'll have been studied well. So if he inflicts the same damage in us, then it's us that are to blame, really. But the whole world's saying it. Steve Clarke needs to be a bit more adventurous, but the flip side of that is we have to accept that we might go big and lose big, but I think we're stagnant just now. So we want to qualify and do something, and we're not going to do that with just the same old hands.
No, we're not. I worry, Glenn, about where the goals are going to come from. An own goal, Belarus. Mind you, if he'd have missed it, McTominay was there to head it in.
Put the pressure on.
But listen, Shea Adams scored. I mean, and I've we've said a lot of things about him before in the past. I mean, the goals are going to come from midfield. They always do. The previous campaign it was all McTominay. The campaign before that it was McGinn. It depends who he plays in the more advanced role in midfield. Lyndon Dykes doesn't score a lot of goals, but he does score crucial goals. And the thing that I like about Lyndon Dykes is because we play with a freedom for our midfielders and we've got midfielders that can score, Lyndon Dykes is excellent at the hold-up play. So he'll bring the midfielders in, etc. So we've got to, we've got to get the midfielders scoring again. We've got to hope that they play well for their club. I mean, currently McTominay's playing a slightly different position for Napoli. He's playing out a little bit more in the wing because they're accommodating Kevin De Bruyne, but he's still playing quite well. So if they play well for the clubs, they come in with a lot of confidence. We've got a chance, and maybe if the weather could just do like what it did against Georgia, that lash and rain kind of thing, we could beat Greece. I mean, they won't fancy coming to Glasgow in October.
No, they won't. But I'm worried about Lyndon Dykes and Shea Adams. I don't think they give us enough when they play, and I reckon we should have had the opportunity to blood some other players there, because Belarus were never going to score. We were on top of that game. We were well on top. They weren't that great a team. And we could have said, look, show us what you can do, Bowie. Just show us what you can do. Relax and have a game. Last 10 minutes. Never done it. I'm worried. Glenn, first question on the quiz. Let's do the quiz.
All right, okay. Okay, guys. So the first one's, I'll just get on with it. Okay, so who are the only Scottish women's football team to appear in the quarterfinals of the Champions League? And how many times have they achieved this? So the only Scottish women's football team to appear in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and how many times have they done it?
I'm going to go a stab here at Hibs, because I remember the Hibs women's team doing quite well a couple of years, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. This is before Rangers and Celtic started pouring money into their women's teams, but Hibs were always there and thereabouts. I'm going to have a stab at Hibs.
How many times do you reckon they've done it, Norrie?
Twice.
Chris?
Right. I'll go with twice, and probably more of a stab than Norrie's Glasgow City.
Chris, your predictions were right last week, and you're right again. It's Glasgow City, and he did it twice. Norrie, you were right with it twice as well. Glasgow City, 2014-15 and 2019-20. Yeah, early days. I mean, they've had a decent result last night as well in the Europa. I think it's called the Europa Cup. So they're now through to the second round. Hibs unfortunately got knocked out, but they were up against Inter Milan, and that was a tough one off the start. But yeah, Glasgow State have been they've flown the flag for women's football in Scotland for a long time. But you're right, Celtic and Rangers now pouring money in. But Hibs, they won it last season. It's a really, really good competitive league. There's 5 teams that can win the title. It's brilliant.
I know, and I tell you, I watched it on Alba. The football, the standard of football is good. The passing, the only thing I would say is the goalkeeping, but you can't compare it with men's football. It's a different sport almost. They're using a football, 11 players, but the way they play it is different. And I just worry about maybe in 5 years' time, Scotland will get the goalkeeping thing sorted out, because I think Erin, I can't remember Erin's second name, but very small and jumping about. Can he kick the ball up the park as much as a male counterpart, or maybe another female from another team? So I think Scottish football, has got to work on a couple of things before we can start seeing good play. And I always like to see a football team do what I can't, or I couldn't do when I was playing. D-Day tackles, run like mad. I love that, Glenn, and I don't care if it's men and women that are playing it. It's still a good thing to watch.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think we need to keep in mind, though, I think the Scottish women's team is ranked far higher than the Scottish men's team.
Right, yeah. Anyway, so that was a good question, Glenn. On to we're going to do football now, because quarterfinals of it's a League Cup, isn't it? It's got to that point where I tell you what, we're all Aberdeen fans, but we're all caking it because we haven't won a game in like 35 out of 36. And we were going to do a section on who's first for the job, By any margin, the bookies should have Jimmy Tulline hanging by a thread. But it's not like that. He's getting full houses at Pittodrie, and he's got these new players at the transfer window. He seems to be, I don't know, he's got more lives than a cat. Chris, what do you reckon?
I think the fans are hanging on because they want to see that 11-game, 12-game run again, and just they're a bit like, I suppose, like guys in the casino. They know it's going to hit red. It's going to hit. Pardon the pun, but it's going to hit red at some point. Or black. But I don't know. I mean, they've invested heavily. They obviously back the guy, and I suppose if you're thinking about it, you could say, well, they're a good cup team, so.
Well, as an Aberdeen fan, though, Chris, as an Aberdeen fan, do you want to move, or are you one of those guys that are saying, like, stick? We'll not twist yet.
I just about always say stick, but normally I've got a reason for sticking, and I suppose my only reason I could give is that by the laws of averages it will start coming good. But that's really it. But the minute you say, twist, essentially if you say twist, then who do you get in? So. But I would say another 3 or 4 games. Yeah, he's not the worst, but that's another conversation.
Glenn, what about you? Are you thinking get somebody else in, or are you thinking just give him a wee bit more?
See, I reckon he'd have been in a lot more trouble had he obviously not won the Scottish Cup. They actually do have a vision. They do have a plan. The board are fully behind him. You saw how much they're backing him. The fact they invested with those on deadline day, bringing in Kevin Nisbet, Stuart Armstrong, 2 Scotland players, and then Jesper Karlsson from Bologna. I mean, honestly, the boy cost 11 million euros, and he's a really, really talented player. But the fans aren't happy. It's 5 wins in 31 league games. It's a shocking return after the start he made. But I think some of the fans are still sitting there thinking, give him a little bit more time. They were booed off against Livingston. Not by like vast sums, but they were booed off, because there's Livingston, and they started with 2 holding midfielders, and this is what angers a lot of the fans. Shinnie and Nielsen in a game that you're looking to score goals, and the pair of them are on the park together. You think, well, no, you should be more open. You're at home, we're looking for goals. We've not scored a goal, so we're not going to do that with the 2 of them on the park. You need more a more attacking threat kind of thing, and he's got players that can do the damage, but he's not unleashing them. And I think a lot of the time they create a lot of chances, but some of the football was long ball football, and that's not the identity that he came into Scotland and Aberdeen saying he was going to build. It was going to be quick in the transition, down the wings, quality crosses coming in, some decent midfield play, and fast, rapid transition, as I said, and clinical finishing. I am sticking with him at the moment, mainly because. How long are you going to give him? I don't know.
If Motherwell beat Aberdeen in the cup, and we're still at the bottom, how many games after that does he get?
I'm probably with Chris. I think he's got 3 or 4 before there's big protest. If he doesn't start putting wins up, they've got a decent run coming up. So if he doesn't actually get some points on the board, and I don't mean draws. I mean, he needs to get a couple of victories in there. I mean, the thing is that you're 12th, okay? But if you look at it, there's a lot of teams not winning. It is, I think third place is 6. It's 6 points. Yeah. There's nothing in it. If you win 2 games, you're in the top 6. But it's actually winning those 2 games. We've not managed it so far. It's all very well us saying it. Just win 2 games. But he's actually those 3 players coming in. Armstrong will be decent. Nisbet, he towards the end of the season scored goal of the season. He just started getting on fire and just clicking, and he's very popular. He was Player of the Year. He actually loved his time, hence why he's taken a wage cut to come back there. So I think he'll be good. There was a guy met him in town after the Livingston game and said, just asking away, when we're going to score goals. He goes, next game, I'm scoring a hat trick. So, Kevin, we're all hoping you're actually true to your word. Hat-trick against Motherwell would be something else. Although I can't see that because Motherwell are actually playing some decent football as well.
Yeah, they are. Chris, it seems like Jimmy Tillene's a bit like Steve Clark. He still picks Nielsen and Shinnie together in the midfield. And everybody's saying, no, Nielsen's like a cart horse. Shinnie's better in the left wing because he's been playing there before. Stop playing the system. Get a move on. Change it. And he doesn't. He doesn't. Every week's the same. Oh, we've lost Chris. You're muted.
Sorry, I was just trying to keep it flowing, and I've done the opposite. But, Hearts and Celtic, they're games that maybe Aberdeen weren't expecting to take full points, but Falkirk and Livy, then you've got to say, they're no attacking enough, really, and he's got to do something because Glenn said it, a couple of draws, isn't he? That's worse than useless, so it's time for them to start scoring. Nisbet was happy at Aberdeen again. I can understand why somebody would leave London for less money because that's what I did. So he's happy, he's content that Armstrong will score goals. I think it will come, but it's the age-old question: Will he get time? But I think he might. I think he'll get another few games definitely. And
the thing is, Chris, though, Leighton Clarkson has been reported as saying "get TF" to the Aberdeen fans. He's really getting angry with the outrage towards him. Surely the Aberdeen fans should be pointing out the manager, no the one single player who's not been. By the way, he's been on the bench.
I don't like guys getting angry, getting abused. I think that's a good thing because the worst I would ever want to see as a fan is the guy just he'd doing, no one even be involved in the play because the minute that happens, it's gone. So a wee bit of anger never really. Obviously, the guy cares. He's not pumping he's the badge or anything like that. He's just getting angry. So yeah, more of that. To be honest, on the pitch.
More of that. What about Rangers? I wouldn't like to be Mr. Martin. this guy is blaming his players, and he's not getting the results. He's getting draws, but he hasn't got any wins. And he's, what are they, second, third from the bottom? Russell Martin, he's under a lot of pressure. And I had to laugh at Barry Ferguson on an interview saying, oh, what I would do was be this and that and the next thing. And I suddenly thought, even Barry Ferguson knows how to play the Rangers way. Do you know what I mean? It's win at all costs. You can't, there's no chance for air when you take that job. You've got to start winning. Is he the first for the chop? Glenn.
Russell should be really happy. He's finally winning something, and that is the race to be the first sacked. Obviously not in Scotland, because I think Don Cowie went, in the Championship at Ross County, but in the Premiership anyway. Honestly, Russell Martin, I mean, as an Aberdeen fan, I'm fairly depressed just now. And the only thing cheering me up, actually, oddly enough, is the state of Rangers at the moment. So this is their worst start to league in 47 years. 4 points from 5 games. The last time they were that low, I think it was 1979. 9 points below Celtic and Hearts after just 5 fixtures. Only scored 3 goals. 3 goals more than Aberdeen, I must say. But they've only one clean sheet in the Premiership. Thing is, the reason why, so like Tulane is, he's backed heavily by the board, and some fans still support him. I'd say probably the majority still support him because of the Scottish Cup. Crucially, Martin has lost the fans. He lost them he lost a lot a couple of weeks ago. He's lost almost all the fans. The Rangers supporter group, the Union Bears, so they're holding a protest against him and the chief executive Patrick Stewart before the quarterfinal. And that's when things change. When the board feel the pressure like that, that's when they make changes. I've no doubt that the board's they're already looking for alternatives, trying to find the funding to pay him off. I mean, it could cost him and his staff will be in excess of 1 million. And if you look at the repeated failures they've had managerial wise, the money they have paid out to managers to get rid of them after they've failed, that's money that they'd be screaming out for the team to compete with. Well, not to compete with Celtic, currently to compete with Hearts and Hibs.
I know. But that, Chris, we were talking last week or the week before about Celtic's problems with the board, because they've not made the signs and Brendan Rodgers has come out very outspoken about the board, about the biscuit tin mentality again. Are we too early in the league, in the season, to start worrying about all these things, or is that just how fans are? They're very fickle.
Well, I'm sounding like an old man here, and through generations, everyone said that, but everybody wants everything quicker now. Even older folk, it's like, why is it not happening now? And fans are more fickle. I think the Rangers, Celtic management did go back and say that, that they've had all these things, they've had it too good for a long while, but the writing was on the wall as far as Europe goes. They would either squeeze through, and I thought they genuinely would, or they would get shown up. And Europa League's great and all the rest of it, but when you've had the Champions League last year and a chance to build, then I don't get, you could invest the money, but is even investing the money going to be good enough? And I think people do forget that there's agents everywhere telling these players that they're worth 50 million, and there's millions of deals that fall through at the last minute. Look at Maeda. His deal fell through as well. So you just... It's more it's living in life. It's more complicated than anybody thinks. But Rangers are banging trouble. Really, really. I mean, Hearts just turned up and bossed them. And if nothing else, when you're sending out 11 men onto a pitch, you've got to physically compete. You really, if you do nothing else, you've got to do that. And players hiding and Gami not even want to come on. That tells you everything you need to know about what they feel about the guy that's allegedly in charge.
Yeah. The other one, of course, Glenn, is Stephen Presley. He's under a lot of pressure at Dundee. He doesn't come across as the most, I don't know, smart appearance. He's got straggly hair and he speaks very softly. And you just wonder how players and other people will take his message. And I don't think it's getting across just now.
Yeah, I mean, right from the off when he was appointed, the Dundee fans were in uproar. They didn't want him. Former Dundee United player, etc., with no decent track record in management. I think he, in his first press conference, when they were announcing him, he said something along the lines of this. Well, if you're looking for a manager that has a track record of winning titles and success, I'm not your man. You think, oh my God, you open with that, and then they got the recruitment completely wrong.
I
They,
know.
they waited until basically deadline day. They tried to do a few deals, really failed. They're now looking at people are out of contract. I feel sorry for the Dundee fans. I mean, I actually think that Doherty was hard done by last season, so he was sacked. But every once us to develop young Scottish players. Everybody wants talent to come through, etc. Doherty played the most young players in the league. He gave the most game time to under 21s. And you look at the talent he developed. Look at Luke that went off to Celtic for $1 million, and the boy that went to Rangers as well. The team was filled with young guys and talented Scots. And other teams are, you struggle to find a Scot. Dundee United started their European adventure this season with, for the first time ever, with not a single Scot in the starting lineup. And Doherty tried to play attacking football, and he was sacked. And then now you've got Stephen Presley, and the fans have got every right to be upset.
Yeah. Well, Tony Doherty's now up this way. Chris is with Ross County, and the fans were like, "Yeah, oh, that's a good signing." Everybody's first game against Arbroath, they lost, and then they played Ayr United and they drew. So he's not having it easy in the Championship, the old First Division. So is Tony Doherty the Messiah? Not really. And maybe he went as far as he could with Dundee. We'll have to wait and see, because the jury's out with him up here at Ross County.
Well, I mean, nothing's easy in the Championship. Nobody's going to sail that league. I mean, and Tony definitely talks a lot better than Presley. I mean, Presley's not got the personality. I mean, he's got the credentials as a player, right enough, a good solid player. But yeah, I mean, even in front of the press and all that, you've got to at least pretend you believe in yourself, no doubt about that. But back to Glenn's point about the young Scottish players. I mean, exactly that guy's going to Celtic and Rangers and them getting a good return, and then that's sustainable. If you do that with two players a year, that's you'll do well there. And what happened there was that young guys they looked around them and went, yeah, we're actually we can progress here, and use it as a stepping stone. And I think everybody, I don't think there's anything wrong with players or even managers or anybody in life saying this is a stepping stone. Try your hardest and you go somewhere else. There's absolutely, I should have signed for the club for life. Why? If someone's got more ambition, great. You're just grateful that you've had them for that length of time. So I think that's a great way of doing it. But bringing on players, but it comes back to the same thing. People want results yesterday, and to take on an older European pro that's done their time and they know the score, then or risk a wee Scottish boy is a bit unpredictable, maybe still no filled out. But the longer term, if you can be allowed to let them flourish, then it's great. But sometimes it's too fast paced, and that's wishful thinking on my part. But I'm not involved in the day-to-day running.
Going over last week's games, there was one incident, Glenn, and it involves Kilmarnock against Celtic, and it's a VAR decision that the referee deemed a goal, a penalty. And Stuart Kettlewell was absolutely amazing because he didn't lose his head. He just says, I want them to explain to me what they explained pre-season about handball. And it contradicts everything that Willie Collum advocated for this penalty, and in fact a win for Celtic. Now, at the end of the season, this could be crucial for a European place or anything. We don't know yet. I don't know if you saw it, but the handball itself ricocheted off one player onto another, and he was deemed to have his hand in an unnatural place. He wasn't expecting the ball to come to him. and he's been given a red card, not a red card, a yellow card, and a penalty. Where are we in Scottish football?
Well, the thing is, I mean, if they've explained VAR and how it's going to work at the start of the season to the managers, etc., and especially the handball situation, which is always it's a huge talking point, isn't it? You know, if it hits your foot and it runs up to your body, it's not one, or it shouldn't be one. What is a natural position? I mean, you can see somebody going in for a tackle and their hand goes down, obviously, because you're sliding, kind of thing, and then it hits off and it hits your hand. That's a natural position for your hand. But I think in the Real Madrid game, they deemed that not natural. I mean, you have to put your hand out to stop yourself from falling. You know, there's so many debates about it and what is and what isn't. But the VAR team have went round all the managers before and explained, look, we will be interpreting like this. This situation is. This situation isn't. And then so early in the season, they're going against what they said. It's fairly shocking. You're right. Well, these kind of decisions. I mean, at that point, I think what Kilmarnock had 4 draws. It was a really good performance against Celtic. It's the kind of like performance that you can kick on from. You know, you're looking for your first win, and obviously they've got St Mirren coming, so they'd be looking for a result. They're at home, and then they get that. So which way it goes, I don't know. They might actually use it really well and actually put in a great performance, or it might be just one of those ones where you think, oh, for the love of God, nothing goes for us, kind of thing. And it can turn a season, and it can, at the very end, you're right. I mean, a few points can make a huge difference to whether you actually make the top 6, whether you actually get into Europe or not, you know? So I did feel very, very sorry for him, but he did handle it very well, I must say.
No, the defender, he got booked for it.
Yeah. Sorry, no pun intended there.
Yeah, but I know. Chris, the rules say that if a player who is not in sight of goal handles the ball, it cannot be a penalty. So if the ball's hit against him by his goalkeeper and the ball's hit up and he's still in the box, it can't be a penalty. That's exactly what happened. The ball was going the other way, away from goal. It was never going to go to the goal, so he didn't stop a goal, but yet the handball thing came out. What is going on with Scottish football? How do we get ourselves in such a bloody mess every season?
He may have been stopping a goal for Kilmarnock. You don't know. Maybe Schmeichel was off his line. But for me, I mean, Roy Keane said this years ago. He's like, people, I'll stand up, people running up with arms behind their backs. And it's just like, what's natural about that? A guy coming towards you with his hands behind his back.
I know.
Honestly, it's like, if you remember, it's a knockout. That's what it reminds me of. And for me, see, I'll play my joker here, but see, for me, see if I was a manager, honestly, I would say, do you know what? See, for a 10-minute period, just get in the box and absolutely rattle that ball towards a goal, because it's pinball. That's what it's turned into for me.
That's it.
It's absolutely turned into pinball, and that you talk about keep the game flowing. That slows the game right down when they're all watching Space Invaders at the halfway line. But B, a team that doesn't have a lot of skill, that could absolutely be a tactic that they could use to consistently get an advantage. And it's ridiculous.
That's a good point. At this point, I'm looking at the clock, Glenn. Second question should come out now.
Yeah, no bother. Okay, bear with me. Right, okay. In 1927, none of us were around, but listen, just bear with me. That's it. You might know this. In 1927, which Scottish side beat Swansea City and then Real Madrid to win an unofficial Copa del Rey, meaning they were the only side ever not from Spain to win the Copa del Rey? And it's a Scottish side. They then went on, by the way, to play Barcelona and another team, and they lifted a trophy against them as well.
Oof.
Are the guy's still playing? Because we could...
I'm tempted to say one of the old firm, but I'm sure it's not. Who would
I'm
play
thinking two teams. I'll say my fate. I think it'd most likely be Dunfermline.
Something like that. I don't know.
I guess after Norrie goes. Right, thanks.
I think it's got to be a team that's been firmly in place in Scottish football. Somebody like Partick Thistle, or I'm going to say Hearts.
You're going Hearts and you're going Dunfermline, yeah?
Aye, but my second guess would be Hibs, if you don't mind. Oh, not third Lanark. So, yep.
Right, you're getting for 2 guesses. Nori, to be fair, do you want a second guess?
It's. I'm trying to think. Bob
I'll give
Crampsey
you a
done a lot
clue.
of the stuff.
The 3 guesses so far are wrong.
Right.
So
That's
you
good
should
to
really
know.
go for a second guess, Nori.
I will. Is it somebody like? It's not Aberdeen, because I know Aberdeen's history. It's not them. What about Dundee?
You're right.
Dundee.
No, it's Motherwell.
Is it Motherwell?
Yeah.
Wow.
They went on they went after being invited to this play in this Copa del Rey. They then went on a tour of Spain, and they only lost 1 match. It was
Wow.
and when they played Swansea, it was the first time 2 British clubs had ever played each other on foreign soil.
Well,
So they actually have. So Motherwell have a Copa del Rey, a gold one, inside in their boardroom. The only club outside Spain that has a Copa del Rey.
I think they'll be mentioning that in Crime Watch next week. Just done every detective tells you not. Funnily enough, there was an Aberdeen detective that says never tell. He's like that. People phone in, never tell people you're away on holidays like that. Detective Murdoch won't be here next week because he's away on holiday.
Aye. Great question, Glenn. Great question.
Oh, cheers.
Wow. Think you know quizzes. Get your calendars on. We can order them shortly, can you?
Yeah, they come into stock
Christmas.
very, very shortly, and you can get them at the Calendar Club as well. So calendarclub.co.uk. They sell all 6. Yeah, so they're quiz calendars. They're quite good fun. But I'm biased because I write them.
We'll put the link in the comments next week.
It's good. Chris, we've got football coming up as ever. The Scottish League Cup, that's dominating Scottish football this weekend. Kilmarnock have got St Mirren. How do you see that one going?
I think it's safe to say Kilmarnock will be a wee bit aggrieved. So I think they'll be gunning for it. Yeah, I think they might actually have enough to ride out 1-0 winners in normal time. They'll be absolutely incensed about last week. So I think that, plus the plastic pitch as well. So I think there's a chance they might. Which
they're getting rid of, by the way. But St Mirren are taking something like 2,000 people over. That's a lot of fans going for an away game. But it is a quarter-final, so you should expect a good crowd, Glenn. St Mirren, I've seen St Mirren. I think they're playing very, very well. Godjick's got another lease of life. And Stephen Robinson's just got his team playing perfectly the way he wants it. I don't think this will be an easy tie for Kelly, even if it is, as Chris says, it's got the plastic pitch as an advantage. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually know they're getting rid of it, so that's actually I'm quite happy with that. And the Killie fans won't, because they've won a lot of their home games, not this season though. Look, Stephen Robinson, he said that he's been stalking Killie lately, going to Sunday games and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. He's always got his team really well organised. They haven't won there though since 2013. Sorry, they've only won once since 2013. Sorry, they don't get results there very often. I've got a funny feeling though that he's actually going to be, they're going to win this one. I think it's going to be tight. I think it'll go to extra time. I think St Mirren will win 2-1. I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a cracker. I'm not sure because it's a home game. I'm going to give it to Killie. I'm going to say Killie are going to take this, but it's going to be close, and I think there's going to be goals both sides. I hope there's no penalties given for handball in this one, because that would kill Stuart Kettlewell. I'm going to go 2-1 Killie. What are you going, Glenn? 2-1 St Mirren?
2-1 St Mirren.
Chris?
You're muted again, Chris.
Sorry, I get a bad habit. I would say 2-1 Killie. I definitely think there's going to be a few goals.
Yeah. So that's the first one. Who else is playing? Dunfermline are playing Dundee tomorrow. That should be a cracker, actually. Livingston are playing Dundee tomorrow. Another good one. Chris, how do you see this one going?
Live against Dundee. You mean the quarterfinals?
Right.
So
That's
the
what
league.
we're
No,
doing, quarterfinals, so Dane.
yeah, but that's in the league, Norrie.
Oh, is it? So who's playing then?
Well,
The next one is Aberdeen Motherwell.
So it's the Copa del Rey. We've got a Spanish tint to it.
I have. All right, Aberdeen Motherwell. We've said this already, Chris. If Jimmy Tulane doesn't win this, and I tell you what, Motherwell are playing damn good football right now. And by the way, I got a message from the Motherwell Football Club today. They're advising people to get the bus from Buchanan Street's station, because a lot of Motherwell fans are in Glasgow and all over the place. They're taking them up from all parts to this match against Aberdeen.
Yeah.
They're smelling something here, Glenn.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Chris?
1,000.
Yeah, I think. Well, I hope more than anything. I think it'll probably be one each, and then maybe Aberdeen might just nick it with another dodgy handball in extra time. I could see that happening, but see, to be honest, just to win the game. So I think one each, and then maybe Aberdeen nicking it somehow in extra time.
Oh, Glenn.
Oh, here we go with the optimism, and I'm only optimistic because of this. I've discovered that Callum Slattery, who's a big player for them, Tom Sparrow, they're both going to be out until after the October international break. Captain Paul McGinn is out. Callum Hendry is out as well. Ooh. So they've got I think Motherwell are struggling. They've been playing well. I like the manager. You know, he's got some nice passing football going. They've got the identity that Jimmy Tulane used to always talk about and all that kind of stuff. And I like the way they approach games. And they're backed by, I think it's going to be over 1,000 fans are going up. Norrie, you were spot on. They smell blood. But I think the injury situation is going to be crucial here. I don't think it's going to be a great crowd from Aberdeen because of the run of form they're on as well. But I do think that actually maybe this goes to extra time as well. But I think Aberdeen get the win. I think either Carlson or Nisbet are going to have a big contribution there. Yeah. And the boy they got from, is it Lazatek? They got from AC Milan in the last minute of the game against Livy. He spun in the box and hit the post. And he scored 2 goals in a midweek game as well in an Aberdeenshire Cup. He actually looks. I mean, AC Milan paid €5 million for this guy. So he just needs a run of games, and I think he's going to be a good player. Aberdeen played a bounce game against Ross County last night, and they won 3-0. So I think this will be Aberdeen. They're a cup team as well, you know. And they beat Morton 3-0. They won again. I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be a tough match, but I think Aberdeen will win this.
So it's going to go extra time, you reckon? What's your score on this one, Chris, after what you just heard from Glenn about the players not being available for Motherwell?
I was saying that I think one each extra time, 2-1 Aberdeen.
2-1 Aberdeen. I'm going 2-1 Aberdeen as well, on the back of what you're saying, because Tom Sparrow, Slattery, these are good players. Callum, the other ones you mentioned as well. And I think it's time for Nisbet to shine. I think this is his kind of game. I think he'll revel in this. We've got Partick Thistle against Celtic. Celtic in turmoil. Partick Thistle.
I'm going 3-1. Sorry,
you're in 3-1.
3-1. Yeah. Sorry.
Right. I haven't got a pen and paper, so I'm not writing these down. We'll just have to remember them in our heads. Partick Thistle, Celtic. Chris.
I think Celtic will blood a lot of youngsters, but still probably. I'm hoping Partick score, but I would guess 2-0 Celtic.
2-0. Just 2-0?
Aye. Celtic are on fire scoring wise. And the amount of players are like Obi Jota injured as well. So they've not got the forward troubles to seek.
No, that's true. I'm going to go 3-0 Celtic. I think they've got enough firepower. I think they'll turn it on. Will you just pace against the championship side? 3-0 Celtic. I can't see a Edinburgh good score, Glenn.
Yeah, I'm going 3-1 Celtic as well. But I mean, the thing is, Partick Thistle, they've got 8 wins in 10 matches. They scored a lot of goals, so I do think they'll score. But So they scored 10 goals, but they've also conceded 10. And against Celtic, they're open defensively. I think they'll concede. Even a misfire in Celtic will brush them aside, unfortunately. But I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be open football, 3-1 to Celtic.
What's the last game?
It's Rangers Hibs.
Rangers Hibs.
Cracker.
Oh yes. I you know this. Rangers, if they win this, Russell Martin's got some breathing space. If they lose it, he's gone. Surely it's as simple as that, Chris.
I think he'll probably go anyway, to be honest. I really don't see how he could stay. Just his attitude towards it. He's like, he doesn't really seem that fussed. And you would even sort of feign personal, oh, my pride's hurt or whatever, but he doesn't even seem to want to bother doing that. So he's certainly not playing that card anyway. But the fans are just going to go nuts. And I mean, if I was Russell Martin, I'd be wanting an away game, to be honest, but it's not going to happen. So Hibs will smell blood, and I don't see why they shouldn't. But I think Rangers might scrape it 2-1.
After a penalty decision that goes for them, or
well, I mean, they've had a bit of bad luck last week as well. You can't deny that. Well, I certainly couldn't.
2-1 to the Teddy Bears. Glenn, what do you think? Hibs, will they falter at the big hurdle, or can they?
I don't think it's a big hurdle either. Actually, I think. Normally Ibrox would be, it would be quite intimidating for a lot of teams, etc. With the fans' protest, I think it's going to be toxic, absolutely toxic. And if Rangers don't start really well, the fans will be on their back straight away. There's a big question mark there's lots of question marks over Martin. But what the main one for me is Nicolas Raskin, probably their best player last season. He's a Belgian international player. He's very, very dangerous. He's not even featured in the last two squads, and he's not injured. So what on earth is going on there? I think there's a lot of problems with the team. He took them on a bizarre open swimming session at Loch Lomond, that's either going to turn out to be the final nail in his coffin, or they're going to say, oh my God, a psychological masterstroke, and they're bonded, and if they win, I think. But I don't think so. I think a fragile Rangers defence. Kieran Bowie will be up for this. He's announced himself with 4 goals already. I think he's going to score 2, and I think it will just be 2-0 to Hibs.
I just thought he'd have taken them over to Loch Lomond for a game of golf rather than go for a dip in the loch. My God, I do not understand his methodology, but I hope it works out for him. But Hibs, tasty team. They've got strikers that know where the goal is. They've got a great formation. Rocky Bashir, we're always we used to berate him in Caledon, but I tell you what, he's come on to form. He's a really good, strong player. I thought the goalie might be a bit suspect, but he's come good as well. Do you know what? I can't see him but a Hibs win, but it's at Ibrox, and you never know what can happen in these games. But I'm still going to go Hibs 2-1. 2-1 Hibs. Last final question, Glenn. And what we might do is, if we don't get it, we'll keep it hanging for next week. And if you want to join in with the fun, let us know. Put comments down below the page on YouTube where we're broadcasting this from. I think we're on Twitter as well just now, aren't we, Chris?
I'm not sure. I don't know if I was involved in that. I don't know. I need to check that one with Billy, as they say.
All right. I thought you were putting this on Twitter. If not, next week we better get on there.
I know. I put out a tweet. Yeah.
Yeah, and then get on. No, the actual show gets put out on Twitter, live on Twitter.
That's the Loch Lomond project. We'll do that next week.
Right. The question, Glenn. The last question.
All right. Okay. So this. I'm not being biased. This should be good, and we'll maybe leave it hanging for people that are watching the show. So this is the teaser. Who won the UEFA Cup Golden Boot and the World Cup in 1998, and then the Scottish Premier League in 1999?
99.
So which World Cup winner left where he was playing and then turned up the next season in the Scottish Premier League and won it? So he won the Golden Boot, the World Cup, and then he moved to a Scottish team and won the league.
Oh,
But we're ruling
99.
out Alan McCoist anyway, so we know that.
In 99. So he moved to Scotland in 99. So he won his World Cup.
Well, yeah, he was playing for a different club when he won the UEFA Golden Boot at the end of the 98 season. He then played for whoever won the World Cup in 98, won the World Cup. Yeah. And then he moved, came to Scotland, and he played in the Scottish Premier League, and he won it in 99. So 98, 99, he won it. You know, what a bizarre move, eh?
It's a Brazilian then, isn't it?
Well, who won in 98?
Yeah, who did win it in 98? I thought it was Brazil won it in 98.
I was there with a broken arm.
Yeah, but you were at the Scotland games.
Yes, I wasn't there long.
I don't know. We'll keep that one hanging for next week, and remind everybody else the question first thing as soon as we come on air next week. That's our time up. An hour and 6 minutes, just flown past like that on Stramash Media. So there. All the best to you guys, Chris, Glenn.
Thanks,
we'll catch up next week.
Yeah, absolutely loved it, guys. Can't wait for next week. Okay, cheers now.
Cheers now. All the best. Bye now.